I served from 1964 to 1968. And I was with Patrol Squadron 22 out of Barbers Point, Hawaii. And we went to Vietnam from 67 to 68, the last part of my enlistment. And we did some interesting things because basically we chased Russian submarines all over the Pacific Ocean. Wow. And that was our job, was to find them and get pictures of them, and so on and so forth. But we had one interesting development that we on our Ready Alert crew, we were on Ready Alert one day, and we got launched out, and we had to pick up from one of our sister squadrons that had been out, and they had been chasing this Russian submarine. It was a brand new Russian sub that had never been seen before, and he had been running underwater silent for like 3.5 months, and they'd been chasing him all over everywhere. And we got launched out to go out and pick up from our other squadron because he started getting closer to the Hawaiian Islands, and we picked him up at about midway. And we almost started World War III, I guess you could say. I was a radar mat operator on the aircraft, and I had picked up a contact about 310 miles out. And I thought, gee, it kind of looks like something really small. And I figured, well, maybe that's his snorkel on that sub. And so we figured, well, why don't we go over and wake him up? So we flew down, got down real close, and when we got right over the top of him, our plane captain says, okay, he says, stand by on your mat. He says, when you get on top of him, he says, we're going to drop depth charge on him and see what he does. So what he did is he told the ordnanceman to tape 4 of these practice depth charges together. It's about 4 pounds of TNT in each one of them. And then he made the retro chute hot. And when I got over the top, I hit that button and yelled, mad, 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 and he threw the other 4 down there at the same time. And it turned out it was his periscope. We blew his periscope off. Oh, man. So this Russian sub, just like you see in the movies, he come up out of the water and hit the top of the water. And he opened up a missile hatch and locked his radar on us. And so we flew around the other way and come around beside him, right across him, and opened up our bomb bay door and let him see the nuclear torpedoes we had hanging in there. And he says, oh, it's okay. Close his little hatch. We closed our bomb bay, and we got our pictures. That's just one of the little incidences that we got into.
Man, that's something else. That's something else. Would you like to go ahead and describe your rack, your awards rack?
Oh, well, it's most everything I have is all the Vietnam. You have the National Defense, and the reason I have 2 is having served in Desert Storm as well.
Okay.
And because they had stopped issuing the National Defense Medal at the end of Vietnam, but then when the Desert Storm came up, then they brought it back and started issuing the medal again. So that's how I ended up with the star. I have 2 awards of that.
That's really cool.
And then, of course, you got the Vietnam Service Medal, but we didn't get that because of the way they wrote our orders for us. We ended up with I'm trying to think of it now, but it's I'm trying to remember now. I was just telling the guy about it. But when you serve in multiple theaters, like we did, we were in Vietnam, South Korea, and the Philippines, as we were serving all 3 at the same time. So it was,
that's really cool.
We got the award for that instead of the Vietnam Service Ribbon for our unit, our squadron.
That's really cool. I was stationed out of Hawaii, so I know there's a lot of history, out of that. Is there anything else from your time, maybe in Hawaii and Vietnam? Maybe another story that might stick out?
Well, let's see. In Vietnam, what we were doing, we were flying in to Cam Bay.
Okay.
And then they had us set up so that at night, what we'd do is we'd fly out and we would put mines in Haiphong Harbor.
Oh.
So that was our main job.
Yeah, that's
So,
I've heard about those before.
yeah,
From my
that's
buddies
what we
over there.
did. We laid those mines in there.
Yeah, that's a lot of mines I got laid too. A lot of them.
What
So-
about your helping develop that the AWACS?
Yeah, that's what this citation is all about here. Operation Half Note. I was one of 4 radar operators that was chosen. These are the people that were chosen to fly this mission by the Desert Test Center. It's really funny because the Desert Test Center was in charge of this, and the Navy flew all of the missions, and then it was turned over to the Air Force.
Really?
Yeah, but what this is all about was proving that the AWACS was possible. So we flew all of the missions to prove that it could be done.
That's awesome. And for people who might not be in the military, could you explain what AWACS stands for, sir?
It's the Airborne. I forgot what they've changed the acronym for what it used to be, but it's an airborne control system. And then what it does basically is they set up at 30,000 feet, and then they control ship, air traffic, and now with the newer systems, they even control ground forces, and they tie all of the data systems together, satellite information, ground information, so that everyone has all the battle plan.
And I know we use that in Afghanistan. We called it the BFT, the Blue Force Tracker, and you know, you could pull up anyone, anywhere in theater, and it'll tell you what they're doing.
Yep.
You know, so that's
Exactly.
really, I think that's really amazing that you guys helped develop that, because that's something that we use today that I benefit from because you guys.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
So I felt kind of good about being able.
Yeah, that's really cool, and that's especially in today's theater, you know, that helps out a lot.
Yeah.
You know, because communication is one of the big problems.
Oh yeah.
So when you
yeah.
can see everyone with that, that's
That's
really
right.
helpful.
Yeah, those guys do a real good job up there now with that, well, all the newer computer systems and everything.
Yeah. So, do you have anything you might want to add?
Were you born and raised in Wyoming?
No, I was born in Florida, Fort Pierce, Florida, and raised in Miami, and then through the telephone company, I had worked for a telephone company in Florida, and transferred to Colorado. So I was in Denver for almost 20 years, and then transferred to Seattle, Washington, where I met my wife, and then we both retired and moved here.
Okay.
And we've been here for 13 years,
Probably 12 or 13.
12 or 13 years.
You're a Wyoming native.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll find that.
I've always felt like I belonged out here anyway. I never could stand it in Florida.
Now, did you enlist or did you?
Yes, I did. I enlisted when I got out of high school. I had planned on trying to find, a job somewhere, and everywhere I went, they always said, "Well, have you served your military obligation yet?" And I said, "Well, no, I haven't." And they said, "Well, let us know, when you have completed your military obligation." So I said, "Okay, I'll take care of that." And the really funny thing is while I was in boot camp, I received my draft notice. It
Wow.
came to me in the mail in boot camp. And I told my company commander, I says, "I got to leave." He says, "What do you mean you got to leave?" I says, "I got my draft notice." He says, "I'll take care of that for you."
That's honestly the first time we've heard that so far in these interviews. So that's
Yeah,
that's
that
really
was. I thought that was kind of funny that that happened.
You beat him to the punch.
Yeah, I did. I got ahead of I got ahead of the whole thing. I said, "You're not going to draft me."
And I guess one last question I have is how do you feel about this event going on today? I know a lot of people were hesitant about this reunion, about maybe coming here. How do you think this is, I want to say, benefiting the veterans?
I think it's excellent. I think it's very excellent. It really is. I've been to one or two others that really weren't handled very well, but this was done extremely well, and it's excellent. It did an excellent job.
It's good. I mean,
I really appreciate it too.
yeah, and I love seeing everyone out here. That's something that we were talking about out there is just the amount of love and everything that you see everyone. And
Oh yeah,
I think it's really awesome that we decided to give back and that the state sponsored it.
yeah. It's
So-
good. It's really good.
All right. Is there anything else you might want to add or say?
No, I don't guess so.
All right. I think we're done. And thank you for your story. sir. That was
Alrighty,
really
and thank you
interesting.
very much too.
And, again, I really like that. Seeing someone that helped develop the equipment that we use today. That's really
Yeah,
awesome.
that was unique because the radar system in a P3 was designed for weather, basically. So we had to put a kit on the radar antennas to what they call widen the beam, because the weather radar is a very narrow beam radar. So what this did is it spread the beam out. So then we set it 35,000 feet, and then we directed all the ship and aircraft traffic,
That's really
and we proved that was feasible.
That's really awesome.
What year was that, roughly?
That was in early '67. Yeah, early 1967 is when that came about.
That's really cool.
So yeah.
All right, sir. I'll go ahead and unmic you real quick.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
real quick,
sorry
how'd you
about
get back into Desert Storm then?
Well,
I
I wasn't really smart enough to stay out. I figured in 1986 as well, I'll go back in the reserves and see about finishing up, my reserve, in the reserves, get my 20 done, and then lo and behold, comes along Desert Storm. Okay, so and it was funny because when I got out of the Navy, I was an AX3 is what my rate was. That was Aviation Anti-Submarine Warfare Technician. Well, when I went back in '86, didn't exist anymore. So they said, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm a systems tech for AT&T." So they said, "Oh, okay. So we're going to make you a data systems tech, second class." So I went from third class to second class. I got an increase in rate and became a data systems tech. So I handled all the data stuff. And on our weekends, we were doing real-time fleet support. And then when we did our 2 weeks active duty, my duty station was Atsugi, Japan. And that's where the computer systems that tie the data systems together from the satellites and from the fleet. So we were handling all the real-time stuff right there
That's really cool.
in Atsugi in the computers in all of the computer rooms.
That's really cool.
So that was part of some of what I did.
That's pretty cool.